What's going on, addicts? Today, we are discussing DeVante Parker. So if you look in the dictionary under frustrating fantasy players, DeVante Parker is probably one of the first names that you'll see. If we're looking at his career stats, he has missed a few games due to injury and has never really done anything from a statistical standpoint to make it appear that he's actually going to be a decent player in this league. Last year, he definitely had all the opportunity in the world, and throughout training camp, they were pumping him up. But at the end of the day, his reception total was only 57. He had only 670 yards, and he only had one receiving touchdown, which, if anyone owned him, you remember that came during the last play of a just complete garbage time game against the Jets early on in the season. So even that touchdown technically probably shouldn't have happened. If you can't tell, I'm very frustrated even just talking about this guy, because I fully understand and recognize that now that Jarvis Landry has been traded or just signed over to the Browns, there's really no reason that DeVante Parker shouldn't see an uptick in his usage and his production. But as of now, there's been nothing but poor reports coming out in training camp. So the rule of thumb when it comes to training camp is you ignore any good news, because at the end of the day, everyone's going to say something glowing and good about their player. But if bad news comes out, you need to raise an eyebrow. Last year, the only thing that the Dolphins training camp ever talked about was how fantastic DeVante Parker was going to be and how this is his breakout season and how he's going to be the best receiver in the world. And he sucked. So if now they're saying he isn't doing good in training camp, I don't know if this is reverse psychology or if that's just literally their admission of saying, like, he's probably not even going to be on our starting team unless we have to because of injuries. So again, I recognize that there is volume, and sometimes volume trumps talent in this league when you're playing fantasy, because if you have a sucky player that gets a bunch of volume, they can still put up points, aka Blake Bortles. But I don't think that this is a target that you guys should consider. Personally, I think that Kenny Stills is a much better option a little bit later in the draft. You can actually get him quite a few rounds later, and I think they'll finish pretty close. If you look at my rankings, I actually have Kenny Stills slightly above DeVante Parker, and I really don't see any reason why DeVante Parker is going to surprise us this year, considering that he's had many years to do it and he still hasn't. Yes, I know last year the Dolphins played with Jay Cutler, and this year they have Ryan Tannehill back. Yes, I know that Jarvis Landry is gone, but at the end of the day, they went out and they got Albert Wilson and Danny Amendola, who are most likely just going to take a lot of the targets that could potentially go Parker's way. And looking back, I mean, if you just look at the game-by-game stats for Parker last year, I mean, he had basically 4 or 5 games where you're probably okay with him being in your lineup. He only eclipsed 20 points one time, but he had 3 games where he only had 1 reception in the entire game. And those kind of duds, they're typically, I'm okay with it if you're having if you have a player on your team that could potentially put up a huge score, you can take some duds. But when you have a player like DeVante Parker that rarely, if ever, even eclipses 15 points, when you take 3 or 4 duds like that throughout the year, it really bums you out. So I'm recommending that you just avoid this guy like the plague. If you have to take a Dolphins player, I would definitely recommend Kenny Stills. There's nothing wrong with taking a late shot with Danny Amendola or even Albert Wilson if you're drafting a receiver and if you have a deep bench and you just want to take a shot. I think that those are all better options than wasting an earlier pick on DeVante Parker. But anyway, that's my take. If you guys are curious how I rank DeVante Parker and every other player that's worth drafting this year, please feel free to click the link in the description box below, and you can access my PPR tiers. And I will be sending updates to those throughout August and into September. I'll also be uploading plenty more player profile videos. If you're curious, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and get those. But anyway, hopefully this video was helpful, and hope you have a great day.